Most people think A students are just smarter or more disciplined, but the truth is they think differently. They climb 6 mental levels every time they study, while others stay stuck on the first. In this video, you'll see exactly what those 6 levels are and how to climb them yourself. Oh, and if you want to train your brain to remember faster and retain longer, check out my ebook, How to Build an Exceptional Memory. The link's in the description. Level 1. Remembering. The surface mind. Most students live here, the lowest level of thinking. It's the comfort zone of the brain. You read a chapter, highlight a few lines, maybe repeat them out loud, and it feels like progress. But it's not thinking, it's copying. At this level, your mind acts like a storage drive, collecting words without connecting them. You can recall information for a test, but you can't explain it after a week. Why? Because memory without meaning fades fast. Students know that remembering is necessary, but it's never enough. They treat it as the first step, not the destination. They don't ask, can I remember this? They ask, do I actually understand this? When you stay stuck at remembering, your learning becomes shallow. You can quote the book, but you can't use the knowledge. So if your studying feels repetitive, lifeless, or instantly forgettable, you're probably living on level 1, and that's where we start climbing. Comment. Level 1. If you are ready to leave your low-thinking mindset behind. Level 2. Understanding. Understanding begins when you stop memorizing words and start translating ideas. It's the point where learning becomes personal. Students constantly test whether they really get it. They paraphrase, compare, simplify, and teach it, not because someone told them to, but because that's how the brain builds meaning. When you restate a concept in your own language, you're forcing neurons to connect old knowledge with new. That's comprehension. That's what sticks. Most people mistake familiarity for understanding. You recognize the words, so you assume you know them. But real comprehension feels different. It's the quiet moment when everything clicks and makes sense on your terms. To move from level 1 to level 2, try this. After every study session, close your notes and explain the topic as if you're teaching it to someone who's never heard it before. If you can do that clearly and confidently, you've crossed the second level of thinking. If not, your brain is still echoing someone else's words, not forming its own. Understanding is ownership. It's how A students turn borrowed ideas into their own tools. Level 3. Applying. Application is where knowledge stops being theory and starts becoming action. It's the level where information finally gets tested against reality. A students don't stop at, I know it. They ask, can I use it? They apply formulas to real problems, use memory techniques in daily routines, and experiment with strategies until they work in practice. This level transforms passive learning into active thinking. It's also where mistakes become teachers. When you try to use knowledge and it fails, that feedback rewires your brain faster than any reread ever could. Psychologically, application engages the brain's motor and decision circuits, linking knowledge with behavior. That's why what you do stays longer than what you only read. So the next time you learn something, ask yourself, how would I use this if no one told me to? That single question upgrades your thinking instantly. At level 3, learning becomes alive, interactive, flexible, and personal. And once you start thinking this way, you stop studying for exams and start studying for mastery. Level 4. Analyzing. Level 4 is where learning gets sharp. Here, you stop accepting information at face value and start breaking it apart. Students constantly look beneath the surface. They don't just ask what, they ask why, how, and what if. They examine arguments, look for patterns, and connect ideas that seem unrelated. Every paragraph becomes a puzzle. Every formula has a reason. Analysis is what separates memorization from mastery. It's the stage where your brain stops being a sponge and becomes a detective. When you analyze, you're training your mind to recognize structure, to see that every subject follows hidden systems of logic. And when you can see those systems, learning feels lighter, not harder. So the next time you study, don't just highlight what's important. Ask why it matters. Ask what supports it. Ask what would happen if this changed. Each why moves your thinking one level higher. Try this tonight. When you study, write down 3 why questions about what you're learning. Then share one of them in the comments. Let's see how deep we can go. Level 5. Evaluating. By level 5, thinking turns inward. You're not just analyzing information. You're analyzing your own thinking. A students don't blindly trust what they read, hear, or even believe. They pause and evaluate. They weigh logic, check evidence, and test assumptions, including their own. Evaluation builds intellectual honesty. It's when you learn to separate what feels true from what is true. You start to notice bias in textbooks, in media, and in yourself. At this level, learning becomes a dialogue. You don't just take knowledge, you talk back to it. This is where metacognition happens. the ability to think about your thinking. It's what helps elite learners self-correct, adapt, and grow faster than others. When you read something persuasive, pause and ask, what would make this false? That one question builds mental clarity and independence. Here's a quick challenge. Take one belief you've never questioned about studying, success, or even yourself, and analyze it tonight. Then comment what you discovered. Level 6. Creating. The final level of thinking is creation, where learning becomes expression. Students who reach this level don't just memorize or evaluate. They build something from what they know. They make concept maps, design projects, write essays, record videos, or teach others. Creation is not about inventing something new. It's about connecting what exists in a way no one else has. It's the moment your brain says, I understand this so well, I can transform it. When you create, multiple parts of your brain work together. Logic, memory, imagination, emotion. That's why creativity feels like clarity. At this level, the question changes from what did I learn to what can I make from what I learned. That's what separates great students from good ones. They don't just study information, they create insight. After this video, make something. A one-page summary, a simple diagram, or even a voice note explaining what you learned. Then tell me in the comments what you created. That's how you lock this level in these 6 levels. Remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating aren't just for A students. They're for anyone who wants to stop memorizing and start mastering. You don't need to climb all 6 in one day. Just move up one level higher than yesterday. Each step rewires your brain for focus, clarity, and confidence. Comment your current level below, and subscribe if you're ready to keep growing with me, one level at a time. And don't forget to check out my How to Build an Exceptional Memory ebook to have superhuman memory. Link is in the description below. Keep learning, keep thinking, and keep rising.